Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to this week's episode of Julia Loves Ya, the place where you're reminded that you are loved here, there, and quite frankly, everywhere. I know. I'm Julia Reed Nichols, and I am a stand-up. I am a producer, and I'm an overall evolving human being. You might have seen me perform in your state. I've performed in all 50. I've even been on the TVs or the streams, as you call it these days. So you're in very good hands as we head into this week's episode. I have had a great week. My husband and I are back in Bend, Oregon. That's where we live. We got back after 2 weeks of traveling on the road. You can listen to last week's episode if you want to hear about my road trip in California. But honestly, being home, it really makes it so much easier for me to make healthy choices. This is something I noticed when I'm on the road. We grab food, our exercise isn't regular, but the second we get back into Bend, we're in our routine, going to the sports club, we're taking our supplements, we're getting a full 9-10 hours of sleep. And it really does make it a lot easier to be healthy when you're stationary. I've even gotten back to this ridiculous regime of beauty stuff that I do. I do sauna, I do cold plunge. Life is good. But I do often look around and I go, I wonder, why does my life look so much like the life of a retired person? I'm regularly at the gym or out to eat or out at some, cultural activity, and I look around and everybody else around me is probably 70 and up. Which makes me wonder, am I just so good at doing life that I jumped ahead? Or am I missing the point? I can't really tell. I recently went to a functional doctor. One of those doctors that test all the different systems in your body. And luckily, most of mine came back pretty okay. But I do apparently have a ton of inflammation in my gut, which really isn't that surprising. Some of which we were able to fix with supplements and diet changes, but after lots of tests and after lots of changes, I still do have some inflammation. And the culprit is really not that surprising. They think it might be the alcohol. I know. And before I make myself sound like a complete alcoholic, I'm not. Just to be clear, I'm not really that big of a drinker. I've worked in nightlife my whole profession, so I know how to hold my shit together. I pretty much stop it too. And quite frankly, I've reached the age where my body rejects all wine and hard liquor, and doesn't just reject it, but violently repels it. If I decide to have 2 glasses of wine, it looks like the scene from The Exorcist in my house. Yeah, there used to be a time in my life when I really enjoyed a good box wine. The words "tip it" was pretty common. Do you guys remember that from Kathy Griffin? The "tip it"? Yeah, I said that all the time when I drank box wine, because that's how you get the last little bit out of the bag. But truly, I've gotten to the point in life where all drinks that I like are now A, ridiculously expensive, and B, ridiculously low alcohol. I typically drink a sour beer that floats around 2 or 3%, and it just seems like I've already done so much elimination. I don't drink hard alcohol, I don't drink wine, I don't do cocaine anymore, and now my doctor's trying to take away this one little bit of vice that I have. When I told my parents that my doctor was telling me that I should drink less, I love my parents. They rolled their eyes at me. They were like, all the doctors say that, Julia. That's when I realized that maybe they weren't the best people to go through for support on this one. They actually told me that I could balance out the inflammation of drinking with turmeric. I don't think that's scientifically proven, and I truly don't think anybody should give that a try. But yeah, my family not super supportive in the realm of sobriety. But the truth is I don't know too many people that are truly sober. I do know people that don't drink. I have a lot of friends that I would call what they call California sober. For those of you who might not know what California sober is, those are people who choose not to drink alcohol, but maybe they'll imbibe in mushrooms or LSD or marijuana, microdoses, but stuff that isn't quite as damaging to the reputation as alcohol. And that's where most of my friends lie. They just don't drink. And I can see a world where that's where I'll end up, but quite frankly, I'm just not there yet. But I'm definitely thinking about it. And thinking about not drinking is the first step in stopping drinking. So I guess I'm moving in the right direction, right? I'm opening my mind up to the idea. Yeah, that's progress. That's progress. I know I'm not a perfect person. I was at the grocery store the other day and I was admiring the woman's cart in front of me. So clean. You know, it was like nuts in those little bags that she brought from home, the reusable bags. And then she also had like fruits and vegetables and almond milks. And then I looked at my cart, and in my shopping cart, I had a piece of chocolate cake and 4 of those lovely sour beers I was telling you about. And I thought, yeah, there's a definite room for improvement here. But you know what? There's always room for improvement. And quite frankly, perfection is not the goal. Yeah, I don't want to be a perfect person because perfection isn't funny, perfection isn't interesting, and perfection isn't real. Yeah, but I do want to share some information that changed my life. I've been doing interviews for a long time, right? And I was going through videos the other day and I found this little clip with Ophelia Flame from 11 years ago at BurleyCon. And I wanted to share it with you guys. I know that if you do stand-up comedy or if you do any kind of performance, speaking at work, anything where you have to step outside your box, sometimes it's hard to identify the tools that allow you to do that. And I truly think that this woman makes it so simple. And not only that, I'll tell you this, what's not mentioned in this upcoming clip is a life motto that this woman told me that changed my life. It changed the way I lived my life. And so I'm going to tell it to you in hopes that it changes the way you live your life as well. So what she said to me was, people are only as judgmental as you are apologetic. I'm going to say that again. People are only as judgmental as you are apologetic. So please live unapologetically. Yeah. It's nice, right? Ophelia Flame is great. You can dig into the internet. She has her own YouTube channel. And again, this is an interview from 11 years ago. So please understand if the audio's not the best, but she has some great tips and tricks for overcoming anxiety on and off the stage, which I know is something that so many people struggle with. So even though this isn't perfect, as I said, perfection is not the goal. And I'm really proud of the way that I was able to implement the lessons that I learned from Ophelia Flame, and I hope you guys get something out of it as well. So here we go. Ophelia Flame and Calm the Fuck Down.
On Thursday, I taught a class that I aptly named for a burlesque audience, just called Calm the Fuck Down, Overcoming Stage Fright. It's a class that I really, I think speaks to people. It's like a kind of a dirty little secret, right, that we all kind of suffer from, sometimes a little anxiety. It's a really wonderful class because it's a class that I consistently see people come into and walk out differently. So that one's really rewarding. You know, the key really to stage fright is it's breath work. It's breath, and you know, we talked through kind of the do's and don'ts of backstage behavior. We talk in the class about the importance of being a good castmate. We talk about acknowledging exactly what stage fright is and what anxiety is, and it's something that I think is. You know, everybody is nervous. There's an element of, it's kind of what keeps us sharp, you know, there's a difference. But sometimes there can be that debilitating, like, you know, we will all raise our hands in the beginning of class, like, how many people are nervous? You know, we all have these attachments to these ideas and these expectations of wanting to be the very best and all these things. And then, in turn, it makes us crazy. We do crazy, terrible things to ourselves and to each other. So we talk a little bit about what actually anxiety is and having the good do's and don'ts, like, one don't that a lot of people might not realize that they do is incessant talking. Talking. Oh my God, like you're by doing that, you're breathing in your chest. It's all up here, and so you're exhausting I call it working yourself into a froth. Oh yeah. Right. So when we operate, when we're Well, when we're babies and we're born, we all breathe from the belly, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who are singers probably have experienced this and know this. But we all breathe with our bellies, and then sooner or later, we all start breathing with our chest. And when we breathe with our chest, it's slow and shallow, and you create that. It's short, your brain isn't getting enough oxygen, your muscles aren't getting enough oxygen. So the key, really, we talk about the importance of breathing and breathing diaphragmatically with your breath. And we do some meditative techniques. We talk a little bit about, what might work, what are some positive things, like, simple things that cause stress that we could, be on time. Make sure that you're prepared. Well, it happens. It happens. But, there's a couple people that always want to.
Yeah, and then they're always stressed before the show and running around and trying to get the pasties to stay on. Like,
And one of the things really is we talk quite a bit about is the attachment to outcomes, of like letting go of your attachment, letting go of this expectation. Like we all want to be our very best.
Yes.
But you know what? You really don't have the control over that. Because as costume dictates choreography and burlesque, right? We're all at the mercy
of whether or not it comes off,
or our props, or whatever. So this idea that there's only one dimension of the experience. It could, maybe your costume completely failed and your prop sucked. It didn't work. Are really going to let that ruin your act and your experience just because it didn't go the way you wanted it to?
Envisioned it.
Yeah. So I think that's so breath work, and also of just letting go of that attachment of what your expectations are.
I think that's just a good thing for life.
Yes, it is.
Just let go of any idea of what it's going to be, and you're going to be so much happier because you'll enjoy what it actually is.
That's for real.
We recorded this for the YouTube channel maybe 10 years ago, right? So this was for Working the Tease. You definitely have to go over there if you'd like to learn more about the art of burlesque. They have hundreds of archive videos. But the truth is I'm still learning the lessons in this video, the lessons of acceptance, right? If we can accept what life is instead of trying to make it be something that it isn't, God, it's such a healthier way to live. If we try to limit the amount of desire we have for change, the change will come to us naturally. But it was a great clip. I hope you guys liked it. Please head on over to Working the Tease's YouTube channel to learn more about that fabulously sparkly world of burlesque and see all those videos that I was telling you about, including interviews as well as live performance clips from some of the nation's top burlesque performers. And now I get to tell you guys about what's going on in my world. So on Wednesday, January 14th, I have $5 comedy nights at Silver Moon, which we all know is a huge bargain. I mean, really, what can you get for $5 anymore? You can't even get a fast food meal for $5 anymore. That's going to cost you $20. So for $5, I'm calling this a pretty good deal. And if you come out to the show, we can even celebrate my birthday. Because I'm calling this my birthday show. My birthday's January 15th. I mean, nobody else is calling it my birthday show, which is totally fine. I don't need them to acknowledge it, but I'm calling it my birthday show. So come down and celebrate with me. And later in the month, on January 25th, I'll be back at Stars Cabaret, one of my favorite places to sling jokes. And because someone came to the show last time thinking that Stars Cabaret was a musical cabaret, I do feel like I should warn you it's not. It's an adult cabaret with poles and private rooms. So come for the comics and stay for the ladies. Stars is a good time and one of my favorite places to tell jokes. So make sure you bring enough money to tip both the comics and the performers. That's the way in the strip club. Gotta tip nice. And also, we are in that time of year in my producing life where Winterfest is just around the corner. Super exciting. We're gearing up for an amazing event, and I'm pretty excited for a headliner on Saturday. It's Tiffany. Tiffany, the sensation, the living legend. She's going to perform in Hayden Homes Amphitheater, and I can already picture the echoes of Bendite singing, "I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around." Yeah. I encourage you to wear neon and join the fun with us. We also have Brandy Cyrus headlining on Friday night, so come see one of the Cyrus sisters perform all in the Hayden Home Amphitheater, which is so special because they don't normally open it up in the winter time. It's only for this event, President's Day weekend. More info at OregonWinterfest.com. All right, you guys, I had too much fun picking out the games for the 80s Lounge at this event, and I have to say, I think your inner child is going to be happy. I got Operation. I got Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I got Hungry Hungry Hippos. That's right. We got them all ready for you to play. And finally, I do want to let you know that the tour dates for our very first tour with Pinups on Tour are now up. It's going to be March 27th in Casper, March 28th in Green River, Wyoming, and then we're going to be March 20th in Arvada. Our shows are always free for veterans, active duty, and first responders to attend. We just need you to RSVP on our website so we know you're coming and we know we have room for you. Otherwise, we are going to be announcing some other shows as the year goes on, but that's our first tour. So March 27th, 28th, and 29th in Colorado and Wyoming. And I truly hope to see some of you there. Interactions face-to-face are my favorite things. You guys know that. I feel like I've developed relationships with so many of you after 10 years of touring, and I can't wait to see you at the shows. I really, really enjoy partying with you all. But with that, we have come to my favorite part of the show. This is where I get to answer listener questions, and I feel like I should give the prerequisite. I'm not an expert. I have no training. And all this is just for entertainment value. But I do give pretty good fucking advice. So if you want to take it, that is up to you at your discretion. With that, this week's question.
After nearly 2 years of dating, I decided to let my boyfriend move in with me. He was going through a tough time, having been asked to leave his brother's place, and I thought sharing the costs of living might be a good way to support each other and rebuild our relationship. However, in the months since he's moved in, I've found myself feeling more like a caretaker than a partner. The responsibilities have piled up, and I'm left handling the groceries, cleaning the house, and even doing our laundry. On top of that, trust has become an issue. He often tells little lies about things like who's giving him a ride to work. I genuinely want our relationship to succeed, but the current situation is leaving me exhausted and frustrated. I'm seeking advice on how to address these concerns and find a path forward. How can I approach this situation to encourage honesty and a more balanced partnership?
All right. My advice is don't be afraid to change what isn't working for you. Okay. Clearly what's working or what's happening right now in your relationship and in your living situation, both aren't working. You're not getting the support from him as a living partner, and you're not getting the support from him as a romantic partner, right? So you've tried on living with your boyfriend, and it sounds like you're kind of getting the answer that you needed. Maybe you tried it on and it didn't fit. So what I would recommend is being an adult, setting super clear boundaries with him, communicating those boundaries clearly, and then if he breaks them, value yourself enough to walk away. You're both going to be okay. You don't have to live together. This isn't a necessary situation, and choosing to leave doesn't make you a bad person. And quite frankly, neither does choosing to stay, because you're allowed to do whatever you want to do as long as you want to do it. Neither one is a sign of weakness or strength. But I will say, in terms of the dumb lies and all that shit, that makes me really nervous. I get real nervous when people start lying about dumb shit. I was once on a date with a guy, and get this. So we're on the date, we're at the bar, and his mom calls, and he picks up the phone, and he goes, yeah, hey mom, no, I'm still at work. Yeah, I'll be there for like another 2 hours. Yeah, okay, thanks, bye, click. And the only thing I could think in my head was, I just heard that man lie to his mom. And if that man is willing to lie to his mom, oh, you better bet he's going to be willing to lie to his partner, right? And I think dumb lies kind of fall in that category. It's like, if you're willing to lie to me about this dumb fucking shit, well, you're clearly going to be willing to lie to me about something big. So, yeah, and I guess then you have to decide if that is a character red flag for you. My guess is you already know what you want to do. I'm happy to be here, to be the one to give you permission to do it. So here is your permission to do what you want to do what you need to do. And quite frankly, It's either your relationship changes, your housing changes, or you just learn to live in this unhappy mediocrity. And quite frankly, I don't think the third option is the way to go. We all deserve a life of extraordinary things, and settling for something that isn't working for you isn't my recommendation. Kind of goes back to the theme of today, acceptance, right? We need to accept the things that you can't change, but then you also need to accept the actions that you need to take to have the changes you want to happen. Change doesn't happen without action. So that's my advice, is really get clear about what you want, really get clear about where your lines are. Once they're crossed, make your decision as you must, right? We all deserve to have a partner that steps up to the plate, and I hope you get that. So that is my advice. Take it or not. I'm unattached, but I do love giving it. And that is it for this week's episode. Thank you again to the Drawing Room Foundation for supporting this podcast and for supporting artists all across America. You can find out more about that nonprofit at drawingroomfoundation.org. And I'm Julia Reed Nichols. It is my absolute favorite thing to sit here and chat at you every single week. So thank you if you made it to the end of this episode. I look forward to connecting more. And remember, please remember, you don't get to pick who shows up in your life, but you do get to pick to love them and to laugh with them, just like I'm choosing to love each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much. Till next time.